Good morning. It's the end of the week. A bit of a crazy one. So a new Fed guy coming. I guess interest rates are going to zero. Guess Trump's going to get what he wants. Let's see. That should be very interesting. Let's see what's going on today. All right. So yesterday was a heck of a seesaw day, huh? And charts are helpful. And so we're starting off this morning with some jiggles. Well, maybe, Patrick, maybe gold and silver would be up, but gold and silver were going up while interest rates, they've been going up for a while. So I can't say it's totally, either inflation, it's always the thought, or economic craziness, not economic, geopolitical craziness going on, concerns, and all the other stuff. I mean, now being, let's see what it does. Looking at the charts last night, we could take a peek at those. I mean, the way they came down yesterday. Oh no, they're down here this morning. Um, pulling back pretty sharply. And then they whipped around. And as I looked at just that last night, I was like, okay, yeah, it's extended, but that doesn't look so terrible. It didn't close under a prior day's low, and now it's coming down some more. But look, we knew it inevitable that it would pull back at some point. You don't get in front of something like this to short it, unless you're a day trader and nimble, but that's a pretty big bar, and it's suggestive that it's going to come down to some support. And look, still in an uptrend. Just like here. Look, this doesn't look like a big deal in retrospect, but look, I put that back. It's not as extended now, but as prices accelerate like that after going up for a while, they're likely to go sideways or pull back. Whereas when they accelerate from our visual aids, flat moving averages, that supports a bias. Get on board. After a correction bar, you're going to need a big stop, possibly, or it pulls back to minor support. But when it's going up for a while and it accelerates, the probability is it continues to pull back. And we can always go like this to the 65-minute, and we see this consolidation over here. So we can see it's beginning to stabilize. But from a swing trading perspective, after a first move down, the odds are we think it's going to come lower. So 5,000 whole number, beginning to hold there, and so we'll see how this develops in the coming days. Silver coming down hard, and of course, as prices accelerate like that, and longs see their profits increase exponentially, I start thinking, hey, I better take the money. So that's coming down very hard. But you know what? I just want to point out that I don't know what this is going to do. Maybe it keeps going up. But one thing that when we see these big red bars in the moment, they're like, wow, because they are wow. Like you can look at this, maybe at the time that was like a wow bar, probably was. But let's assume that this pulls back and keeps going up and it's on its way to 200, wherever it's going to go. And you look back at a chart in the past, it doesn't have the same impact that it does like today. Say that, like I say, this goes to $200, and you go back and look at this bar, assuming that it would go up there. It doesn't look like such a big deal. So, again, put things in perspective. It's still in an uptrend, rising moving averages. We'll see how much it pulls back. Major support is down here, which means there isn't a lot to stop it, but that congestion area. Um, Suspect it should begin to hold there. All right. Okay, equity markets, S&Ps. It's just a giant mess. So yesterday was a nice day as far as the acceleration lower. We were able to catch the low in the Qs as prices came down to the intraday pivot support, and we got a 2-minute reversal or a 5-minute wide range bar. That was very nice. So accelerated moves present us with opportunities for reversals. This is just disgusting. Just overlapping bars back and forth. This kind of kind of pattern is good for credit spreads. Um, Directionally, it's not. So whenever we see these kind of overlapping bars like this, we got to wait for things to tighten up. Right? This is erratic, overlapping bars, whipping back and forth. So accelerated moves, like this, that was, pre-market or whatever. It moves down. We just simply look to the left where there's a prior low, and it's an area, give or take, right? Somewhere down there at that low, we know buyers are going to show up. It was the same thing yesterday. And the Qs accelerated down to a prior swing low. And as it got down there, we looked at the smaller time frames looking for a turn. And that's the essence of that link that I put in there, multiple time frames, exactly the same thing. So now things are just whipping around here, back and forth. So E-minis, micros broke out, back down onto the moving averages. We'll be watching to see if it stabilizes here to make a turn, if it can go up or not. And so we don't have any kind of a setup there. It's just got to settle down, tighten up. Ranges need to contract or come down to some other level. See where my cursor is? Maybe that level down there. If going lower is in the cards, that bottoming tail bar right there. See that swing low on the 65-minute chart? We want to focus on that area if prices are heading lower. Right now, things are just chopping around sideways, nothing to do. The Dow futures, a lot of overlapping bars, nothing to do there. It was interesting yesterday, whipping back and forth, and it ended pretty much right at the prior day's close. Just nothing going on there. Russell violating, these are futures, violating major support, the swing low prior to a higher high, still a rising 20, rising 50, 20 above the 50. And pattern like this, even though it violated that swing low, we assume buyers are going to show up somewhere in here since it's in a strong uptrend, and we just wait to see what happens. It's just moving down and scrolling this back. You see this big topping pattern we have. I'll call it maybe a head and shoulders, right? A bunch of little heads there, a bunch of little shoulders, and it breaks. And so this looks like the best one for a short if we can get a setup intraday to go lower. So we'll keep an eye on that. I'm going to look at the ETFs. And yeah, all right, let me go there. Spiders, a little peekaboo high. There was the nasty day and the claw back up. And where is it now? Gapping lower into the middle of yesterday's range. And just whipping around, like kicking and screaming, as long as they're trying to hold it there. We'll see if they can succeed. Just whipping around. Yesterday, the lowest strike was hit. Again, these give it extremes. You see the market collapsing like that. It's like, oh, don't just do it. And you got to look down there. And when it was accelerating down there, coming towards support, I said, there's premium at 68.50, which was lined up with the 50 MA. And at that point, having fallen that fast, it was unlikely that it was going to go down there. And that's all a credit spread is. For whatever reason, you think it's unlikely to go to someplace. So where are they today? I'm just looking now. I haven't updated this, but they should be like, right, somewhere very far down in 67.90. Right, all the way down there. You can see down there. What's the top one? That should have come way down too. Wow. Impressed. 70.10. I thought it would be lower. So that suggests the bulls were not so shaken by yesterday, which the bottoming tail bar would imply that. So, yeah, impressive that it didn't come down that much. And we talked this week is like some of these strikes is that complacency, and yesterday would confirm that, but there it is, right back up again. And so, it's gapping down as we just looked at the others, and put strike down there, just drag that down there over here. And so I would only hope that it would accelerate and go down there today to major support, because if it did an accelerated move, it's going to bounce, and that presents opportunity. I think a no-brainer type of opportunity if it was to come down that far, but I think it's unlikely it's going to do that today. Maybe a test. Wouldn't be logical to think it could test yesterday's low since it's gapping down. So we'll be looking for that as our first reference point to retest somewhere in that area. And of course, we'll see 6,900 breaks. All right. Qs, same bottoming tail bar, gapping down into the middle of the range, inside day. I think it's going to flip-flop around down there. Maybe get a test of the lows. We'll see. IWM. Okay, gapping down to the bottom, near the bottom of yesterday's low. But rising 20, we shall see. And you can see the diamonds there and right back there, gapping down. So not much going on here this morning. A little follow through to the prior day. All right. Now, Ethereum and Bitcoin breaking lower. And they had an awfully long time to try and go up. Right now it's kind of like just say on the edge of the cliff. And that's, as you can see, is starting to look like a giant top. And, you read the posts on X and, very, differences in opinion, but so many posts there saying that millions and millions of Bitcoin are being sold. And it's like, okay, who the hell's buying it? Because it's holding. So, this is going to be a big focus as to whether Bitcoin and Ethereum break down. So Bitcoin also on these pivot lows. And if buyers are going to step up to try and hold it here, they better get to it like in a hurry. This is, like I said, on the edge there. Oil, taking a rest here. Not much going on. And we looked at silver, we looked at gold. Interest rates are not doing anything. They're just flip-flopping around here. And there's that sell setup on the bonds, but it's not breaking down. And you want to keep an eye on this, set an alert, or you can look at, TNX. It's just the opposite. So far, it's just flip-flopping around here. You want to set an alert to see if this starts rising or whether it comes back down again. It's going to, the effect it has, well, if it starts rising rapidly, it'll have a negative effect on equities, but set alerts. We'll see which way it goes. And you know what? Much as this market's holding up, there's a bear market out there in software. Right? Thank you, AI, for all of your help. But all of these companies that sell software, they're in a bear market. This thing's getting decimated. And you know, it looks like it's going to go lower. And that wasn't even, it wasn't a great sell setup, but it was, when these accelerated moves lower, cannot even retrace, say, 50% from where it started, give or take, and it stops at that swing low versus somewhere in between these, that's really bearish. And so you look at different stocks, they're just collapsing now into it. I mean, so many of them across the board just look terrible, like they're going to keep going down. So, lastly, before I hand it over to Dan, just wanted to take a peek at the 13-week with the new Fed guy that was picked. Interest rates aren't moving, so we shall see. Yeah, Adobe, that is like really like, and I would say that's holding up better than a lot of the others. You can see, into it, cracking now, collapsing. So anyway, to you, Dan. Unless we look at retail broke down yesterday. And we looked at that over a week ago. So markets got troubles. What about the dollar? Yes, Andrew, we follow the dollar. The dollar has collapsed, and I talked about that earlier in the week. It's like the market doesn't care. And if you saw that interview with Trump, which was kind of funny in a way, but confusing. They asked him, "What about the dollar?" He says, "Oh, the dollar's doing great." So that message there was he wants the dollar to go down.
There was there was some article in the journal about that today. I didn't read it, but it was trying to explain why Trump doesn't care about the dollar. So good morning, happy Friday. Zero DTE day. Yeah, wild move indeed yesterday. And if you just, I read a headline that said, oh, Dow is down 0.1% and this and this. And if you would just read that headline, that totally just masks what happened under the hood. Crazy. That looks like a bad tick. Well, that's not. Look at that morning collapse. WFC. Yeah, you could have got in yesterday over the highs. We did a put spread in JP Morgan bottoming pattern. That's good. DG short. It's down 3 days already and down a lot on the 15. I don't like the entry here without some continuation. WFC, yeah, and alarms GNTX. This is an earnings trade, but I liked it. I had an alarm appear at 24.10. That would be a no-brainer. Put spread. Fun. We talked about yesterday. You can buy that yesterday's high. Bottoming pattern, little cup and handle there. Bib. This is a continuation pattern higher. My up alarm went off. So that would be a good 30-minute high. Those are all my alarms. Let's go right to earnings. And I deleted a bunch already. So if I don't get yours, tell me. Oh, here's GM I'm watching. 2 inside days after that nice earnings pop on Tuesday. That looks great. Let me set my alarm 8640 now. And Apple opening flat. That's amazing. That's rare for a volatile FANG to open flat. That means it's priced in. And so nothing to do. Over yesterday's high would be a 0 DT put spread. SanDisk, unfriggin' believable run. Look at this break. I mean, this sector and gold and silver and metals are, they get the award for the run starting in last year's breakout. And yeah, I was telling Greg last night that look, just a month ago, look, beginning of February, this was 230, and now it's double. Wait, more than double. Double would be 460. Look, it doubled here in a month. Incredible. You do the math. But yeah, that's definitely on my 0 DTE call spread. The Cousins STX came out of a base that's strong, but I'm just talking 0 DTE. That's gapping up what, $9. WDC 286, and then MU is kind of lumped into this group also. They have all four of those are call spread. 0 DTE, 30-minute low, call spread, BA short. It's also down 3 days, but I like this one. I mean, you're just getting on board a moving train, which is fine if you just want to play the 15-minute stair stepping. Oh, WDC had earnings also. Okay, cool. So that means that the volatility should be spiked also. Andrew, yeah, I deleted a bunch of these already. So if I don't get to yours, I know I deleted Sophie. I already looked at it. It's gapping into resistance. Nothing to do. Patrick Sanders would be the NVIDIA of 20. Okay, so Patrick, what is, you know me, what is the first ridiculous reaction you have to that comment? Patrick saying, read an article that SanDisk will be the NVIDIA of 2026. I already answered it, right? It just blows my mind that people come out after something's double and triple, and now it's going to be the NVIDIA of 2026. Really? I made the comment yesterday. I said it was a contrarian that the media is now wanting to jump on the gold and silver bandwagon. I'm like, really? Where were you here when we bought it in our ETF letter? Now? That is such a contrarian indicator. Do you remember? Um, I think they call it the newspaper or Time magazine. It's like the kiss of death. If your stock has been going up for a long time and then they splatter you on the cover of Time magazine, look out. You're near a short-term top. Look where Qualcomm. Look where Qualcomm after that. What do you mean that they get some kind of pump at that time? Alpha X-ray, up alarm. This was, I don't know if it was earnings or not, but a nice turn here, but the gap's messing it up for me. Gap's too big. Visa was down. It was going to be a call spread. Now it's flat. 30-minute high put spread now. A Whiskey Yankees, a buy setup. Let's see what that does after 30 minutes. Deck, bullish gap, but excessive. Now, hypothetically, I like showing you gaps that I would love. If this were gapping right to 105 to the top of this 3-4 week consolidation, I'd say buy a 5-minute high or some type of controlled pullback. But now gapping up to 115, it's off. It's $5 higher than my daily chart, so I got no interest. Ben, this 20, that's, it was a sloppy buy setup. Whether it's a short-term exhaustion gap, I don't know. We'll come back. Yeah, Ben, that's fine. Yep, 30-minute high. Do we have any 10 a.m. numbers? I didn't even look. This one I like, IBR, over Wednesday's high. I have an alarm at 898. But that's a retest of a buy setup. DLB shows it gapping down 350, but I don't see any volume. Clack 1550, that's a nasty gap. So that is a call spread if there's any juice. And depending on, we get a 15-minute setup, could be a day trade short. Siggy, no pattern. PMT opening flat. Yeah, it is bullish, but your entry really is Wednesday's high. LPLA 345, it's showing. Call spread, maybe day trade short. I don't know. We gotta see what it does at the open. And this is gapping under that support, so you're going. Sandra 24, gapping of the 200. I will let's see what it does and at the open. This thing is getting a clock cleaned. Man, 110. So I have that on the bottom right here. Let's see what it does. APPF 192. That's a nasty gap. Let's see what it does. You see it's already $10 off the low. Pre-market. This opening up 20 cents. This would have been a great 1, 2, 3, but that's bullish. Another regional bank. Let's see what that does. Beezer gap in the 20 and change. That's a nasty gap. But I'll see what it does. Not very few of these are tier ones. 65. So see, this is gapping under all of this. That looks like a good 30-minute low. Short. MTX, no pattern. SkyWest 97. May have 0 DTE call spread. If they're, you got to go through checklists. Do they have weeklies? Do they have spreads tight? That's the one. Yeah, my alarm went off. But yeah, must have. New T would have been a good 1, 2, 3, but the gap down is messing it up. XOM, Alex, this is the one I said yesterday that I wish it were gapping up $5, and then I would do a call spread. But 30-minute low, you could still do a call spread. Yesterday's high. CVX up a little bit, but no pattern. AXP took out those lows and is bouncing. Need more info. Region. Kind of a sell set up here under yesterday's low. You can set an alarm. CNI is the railroad. I was hoping for a 1, 2, 3. But maybe 30-minute high. A moan, 0 DTE call spread, yesterday's high. If there's any juice, should igniting gap, but too extended for me. BSAC call spread. Banco Santander Chile. BSAC. Ben, okay, Ben came in, so now you can set an alarm at 26:30 or 26:20. Oh, nice on Sue. Excellent trade there. Excellent. Yeah, that was a nasty reversal yesterday. So now with the gap down, it's actually scrunching that data. And I think that's just freaking malpractice to be telling people to buy that after up so much. Either malpractice or you're just retarded. All right, this is a big gap to support and a pattern. Flig, this is the one I liked. This is Flig. I texted in the chat earlier. That's a nice consolidation pattern, bullish weekly, monthly. So Flig looks great. I'm gonna put it here, Flig. Yeah, I said yesterday that I would have sold a 0 DTE on COPX, or 1 DTE, but they don't have any weeklies. Yeah, that was a gap and crap for sure on volume. Look at that volume yesterday. Yeah, we're in Medtronic. Looks great. Yep, looks great. Yep, Greg posted a little chart of that yesterday. Looks great. All right, Gentex, my up alarm went off, and now look how quick that changed. BFH. Gap down. We talked about this yesterday in the green room. Looks good. This one's sloppy, but breakout, daily, weekly, monthly. It's a nasty gap. Not holding. I'm almost done here. Whiskey Tango. Wisdom Tree. Wow, that's been on a tear. I'd say 30-minute low, call spread. And finally this, no pattern. All right, those are all the earnings. ASTS. Yeah, just breakout, sure. Yeah, breakout, bullish weekly. And Greg mentioned this spot as a put spread idea, 30-minute high. GM alarm. Yeah, Alex, my alarm went off. I didn't even see yours. My alarm went off at 86:40. Looks great. Monthly's extended, but we're trading daily, weekly. And it has room after that consolidation. So let's watch 30-minute high in that. Your bib is moving. I have that in a window. Maybe it looks good. Let's buy half lot, 5-minute high. Stop Wednesday slow. So that would be 178.03. AD line gap down under 1,000. And it's improving nicely. All right, SanDisk. I see WDC pulling in. SanDisk, let's check call spread now.
Also a negative tick extreme at the open. Not always, but a lot of times that suggests it's going to follow through after later on.
SanDisk. Let's see if there's anything at 700. Wow, they have calls out to $900 strike. Yeah, Greg with a 720, 720, 730, 60 cents. $80 higher.
You saw my post last night. I thought it was crazy, like 1999. So yeah,
Yeah, that is a crazy extended move. All right, it's showing 65 midpoint, but yeah, it's spreading. All right, let's check the cousins. WDC, that ain't ready yet. STX, that's not ready yet either. Greg's favorite, MU, that's not ready yet. AXP, yeah, that looks lower. That'd be a 0 DTE here. 360s I would do for 0. 55 by 110 spreads.